This is Gibrin Data Academy, and I welcome you all to the Data Analysis Induction and Introduction to Data Analysis Batch 1.0. I have a quote for you. Every expert was once a beginner. So if you are one of the participants, you are in the right place to start your journey as a data analyst. About Gibrin Data Academy, what's our mission? Our mission is to empower learners with relevant digital skills. And what's our vision? To produce globally competitive data professionals. That is, to produce globally competitive data professionals that can compete with other data professionals in the real life situation, in the real life scenarios. What's our training rules and expectation? You must follow us on our social media platforms. That is on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please, it's very important. You must also take your qualification test. For you to be fully onboarded in this Gibrin Data Academy, you must take your qualification test. Also, you need to share your experience about this program, that is about what you have learned in the program, that is give feedback and testimonials. It's very important. You need a smartphone for you to be fully follow this program. For full participation of this program, you need a smartphone. That's very important. Also, you need a computer system, that is a functional computer system is necessary for this program. You must be ready to complete all quizzes, assignments, and projects. Is very compulsory in this academy. Performance, that is, you must be ready to meet with all the performance grade requirements. That is, the weekly performance grade requirement in this academy is very important. Masterclass roadmap. Day 1, orientation and induction. Week 1, Excel fundamentals. Week 2, data visualization, reporting and projects. And finally, certification. How to succeed in this program. Number one thing is consistency. You need to be consistent in attending classes, and you must follow all sessions regularly. Practice. You need to practice what you have learned in all sessions. It's very important. We are going to provide you with some data sets. You can also source for data set yourself and practice also. Engagement. You must ensure you join discussions and activities. You don't have to keep things to yourself. You must be ready to discuss with others on what you have learned and how you have been able to apply what you have learned so far. Collaboration. You must be ready to share knowledge and ask questions. So it's very important in this academy. So that is the end of the induction part. Now we go into the data analysis introduction, that is introduction to data analysis. And the first thing we are going to be discussing here is understanding data. Understanding data. Data are raw facts without context. Data are raw facts that does not make sense. It may be in form of figures, descriptions of things, description of items. It may be in form of symbols. Those that deals with descriptions of items, descriptions of things, they are what we call qualitative data. While those dealing with numbers, figures, is what we call the quantitative data. For example, we have scores of students in an examination, 120, 75, 200. This is an example of data. We have what we call information. When you transform the data then into a meaningful result, it's called an information. That is organized data that makes sense is called an information. Example, 120 students pass the examination, 75 students fail the examination. That's an information. Knowledge, an insight that guides decision, that is from the organized data, from the analysis results, then you derive what we call an insight to support decision making. For example, provide extra classes for weak students. Another example for a company, ensure that employees comes early to work. That is, we have seen cases of employee that resume late to work and is affecting their performance on the job. Then you can say, follow up on the employee that resume late to work so that they resume early to work every day in order to improve their performance on the job. Look at what we have here. We have a data set, and this data set has been transformed. It has been transformed into a 3D pie chart. And this 3D pie chart gives more meaning than what we have here. A meaningful result. Look at. We can say from here that the company B is having the least share. That is the lowest share. And we can derive insight from what we have here. So that is the beauty of an organized data, which is called an information. What itself is data analysis? The process of collecting, cleaning, transforming data into a meaningful result and interpreting the data to derive insight that will support decision making is what we call data analysis. And what is the goal of data analysis? To transform data into useful information, into an information that will make sense. Outcome for better decision making. For example, use sales data to decide stock level. Use employee data to improve the performance of an employee on a job. For example, use health data to follow up on the rate of tuberculosis, to minimize the rate of tuberculosis in health sector. That is an example of outcome. Why data analysis matter? For better decision making, that's one of the reasons why we need to embrace data analysis to support businesses and policy choices, decision making. Now, it helps to identify patterns in data, trends, looking at the year. If you are talking about revenues of company for about 5 years, we can see from a trend, like a trend representing the revenue of company over time. Yes, we can see, okay, in 2022, why is it that this company is having the lowest revenue? Now we can be able to see, okay, this is what happened. Is there a low sales? Is there a high sales? Is it that something has happened? So it helps to identify patterns in data. Seasonal sales peak. We realize that in every October of every year, there is a low sales, what has happened? Now we are beginning to see that's an insight. Efficiency is one of the reasons why data analysis matters. It improves performance and productivity. Let's say for a company, yes, after you have analyzed employee data, then you can see, you can derive insight from what you have done here that, okay, the performance of an employee, we need to work on this area, we need to work on this area. So it improves performance and productivity. Advantage, provide edge over competition. Now, you see, when you analyze data, it gives you insights on where to improve on and also where not to go into errors. It minimizes mistakes. It also minimizes errors. And also it gives you an idea on how to adopt some risk dealing with company policies. So it's very important. Real life applications. 1. Business sales performance tracking. That's one of the real life applications. For example, profit analysis, cost analysis, sales analysis. These are examples of real life situation. Healthcare, patient and treatment monitoring. For example, tracking blood pressure, tracking the rate of tuberculosis, tracking the rate of HIV patients in a hospital. Banking, fraud detection and prevention, that is unusual transaction alert. We can be able to look at the fraudulent rates of customers based on their accounts. That is fraud detection and prevention. In banking center, we can also look at customer rate complaints. Customer rate complaints in a particular bank. Then you can carry out an analysis on that. That is an example of an application. In education sector, student performance evaluation based on their test scores, based on an examination, we can be able to look at the performance of students in WACS 2024 in a subject like, let's say, physics, and 2025, we can do a comparison test on that. That is an example of an analysis dealing with education sector. Social media analysis, personalized content recommendation. We can look at YouTube rating analysis based on how you upload video on YouTube. Look at the numbers of subscribers, the number of likes per day. You can analyze this kind of data. What are the data analysis process? These are very key and very important. Number 1, collection. What is collection? It deals with gathering of raw data. For example, it may be in form of questionnaire, that is primary data. It may be in form of customer surveys. It may also be in form of experimentation, that is, carry out an experiment and getting results from it. Also, it may be in form of observation. You can observe, like you want to look at traffic rates in a particular area of Lagos. Then you can watch out on the numbers of cars, numbers of trailers, numbers of bicycles at a particular time, at a particular place, at a particular roundabout. Then you are collecting data. It's very key, collection. Number 2, cleaning. Cleaning of data is very important because when a data is not clean, it will give you a wrong result after you have analyzed the data. So it is very important you clean the data. What is data cleaning? It is a process of removing errors and duplicate to ensure that a data is standardized, to ensure that all the columns, there are consistency in the data points in all the columns of the data. So it's very important to ensure that this data, the data points in the data, in the data set are accurate. In order to ensure accuracy of a data, then you need to carry out data cleaning, which is very important. The next stage, after you have cleaned the data, you analyze the data. Analyzing the data involves applying methods. For example, average sales per region, total sales per region. These are methods. Methods like carry out regression analysis. You are looking at the effect of drinking Gary on the well-being of students. Effect of reading on performance. These are analysis you can do, like regression analysis, correlation analysis, chi-square analysis. So these are very important. So you need to know how to apply method, description statistics, apply aggregate functions. These involve analysis. And the next thing you need to do is visualization. After you have analyzed the data, you visualize that is representing this data, that is organized data, what you have analyzed, presenting data in charts, graph, in something that they can easily see. For example, representing the performance of students on a bar chart. On a bar chart, you can have a line trend. A line trend representing the revenue of a company from 2021 to 2025. That is an example of visualization. Now, after you have visualized, then you make decision, acting on insight. The insight derives from the organized data, from what you have analyzed, from the visualized, then you need to put them into action. Data-driven decision. Like for example, stock before festive season. You know that the rate of stock in festive season is very low because of high rate of demand of item. Then it means that by November you can decide to go for stock so that the rate of sales in that particular period will bring more revenue to the company. So that's an insight, acting on an insight, acting on what you have analyzed. How does it affect the decision of the company? How does it improve the revenue of the company? How does it improve the operational efficiency of the company? This is what we call decision. You need to act fast on what you have done. Now, types of data analysis. We have the first one, the prescriptive data analysis. This deals with explaining what happened, e.g., sales increased 10%. We also have what we call diagnostic data analysis. Analysis that deals with reasons why it happened. For example, marketing boosted sales. We have what we call the predictive analysis. When you want to forecast about the rate of tuberculosis, forecast event, then you are dealing with predictive analysis. Example, sales rise in December. Then we have prescriptive analysis, just suggesting ideas, suggesting actions, suggesting recommendation. That is prescriptive analysis. Example, increase stock before holiday season. What are the tools needed for data analysis? Excel is one of the tools that is needed for data analysis. Basic analysis like charts, pivot table, You also need what we call the SQL, Managed Query and Databases, the Power BI and Tableau, that's for dashboard and visualization. You can also use Excel for dashboard and also visualization also. Python or R, that is for advanced analytics program. These are the tools needed for data analysis. Why start with Excel? One, it is beginner friendly. It is easy for newcomers. Two, data handling. Manage entries and cleaning. You can easily manage entries and cleaning while using Excel. Number three, visualization. It provides charts and pivot table with the use of Excel. Number four, industry standard. Common workplaces, most places, most companies, most industry use Microsoft Excel. That is what they use. So now, skills you will gain in this Microsoft Excel with data. That is data analysis with Microsoft Excel. What are the skills you are going to gain? Organization, that is proper structuring of data. Formulas, applying cell Excel functions. Be able to use formulas like sum, average, aggregate functions in general, mean function, mass functions, test functions, statistical analysis functions. So these are the things you are going to learn in this program. Visualization, creating charts and dashboard is one of those things we are going to put into consideration in this program. That is, you learn how to create charts and dashboard. Analysis, thinking critically with data. That is, ability to analyze data that will bring out good results and also bring out insight. Presentation, communicating insight effectively. That is one of those things you are going to learn, how to communicate insight to people effectively.